A homeless girl, bruised by betrayal and clinging to pride, gave her last dollar and her own blood to save a stranger left to die in the woods. What she didn't know was he was a billionaire, kidnapped and left for dead. She had nothing. No food, no shelter, no name anyone remembered. And yet, she saved him. Not for reward, just because it was right. A week later, her life would never be the same. But what would you do if your dignity was the only thing left you could afford to lose? Leave your thoughts in the comments. And if her courage touches you, share, and subscribe. This story deserves to be heard. The sun hadn't risen yet, but the gravel lot behind the LJ lumber mill was already alive with the clang of metal and the coarse laughter of men. And there, bent over a wheelbarrow heavier than her hopes, was Emma Carter. Her jeans were crusted in dried cement, her fingers raw from hauling rebar all week. She was 20, but you'd mistake her for 35, judging by the way she moved, silent, quick, exhausted. "Hey, Miller's daughter," one of the crew shouted, wiping sweat from his neck. "You know there's easier ways to make cash than busting your back with us?" Another laughed. "Girl like you could marry rich in a heartbeat. What are you even doing here?" Emma didn't answer. She didn't look up. She just tightened the knot on her bandana and shoveled faster. In the pocket of her flannel, her phone buzzed, only once. A missed call from Dad, hospice. She didn't check the voicemail. She already knew what it'd say. Her dad, a former history teacher who once told bedtime stories about the Civil War like he lived it, was now barely strong enough to hold a spoon. The cancer had spread. The bills had piled. And Emma had quit community college after one semester to work 6 days a week for men who didn't know her last name. And that morning, with frost still crusting the truck windows and fog rolling low over the Georgia hills, she whispered the same sentence she whispered every morning. "Just one more week. I just need one more week." Then came the sound of tires. Big, heavy ones crunching gravel slow. A black Escalade pulled up beside the worksite, tinted windows rolling down just enough to reveal a woman in red lipstick. Sunglasses and too many diamonds for this side of town. "Is that a girl?" she asked, her voice clipped and amused. Emma looked up, face smudged, arms covered in dust. "What's your name?" the woman asked. "Emma Carter," she replied. "You ever thought about leaving this place behind?" Emma hesitated. The bucket in her hands felt suddenly heavier. The woman smiled like a wolf. "I can give you a life 10 times better than this. All you have to do is say yes." Emma didn't answer right away. Her eyes darted to the bucket in her hands, to the missed call still blinking on her phone screen, and then back to the woman with diamonds on her wrists and the kind of voice that never begged. Simone reached into her purse and pulled out a thin leather folder. Inside were glossy photographs, girls and before and after shots. One picture showed a girl no older than Emma, wearing the same dust-covered work boots, slumped against a loading dock. The next photo, that same girl in a sharp blazer, standing beside a cafe counter with her name on the glass. Another image, 2 girls holding college acceptance letters. Another, a woman in scrubs, smiling outside Grady Memorial. All of them captioned with words like, "Helped by SD," or "Now a manager." Simone didn't explain. She didn't need to. Then came the hook. "I know your dad's sick. I know what hospice costs. I also know you're too proud to beg and too tired to break." She leaned in, just enough. "This isn't charity, Emma. It's a trade. You give me your time. I give you options." A long silence stretched between them. Then Emma set down her shovel. Emma had never been inside a car like that. The leather smelled like something foreign, something expensive. There were little lights in the ceiling that sparkled like stars, and a faint perfume clung to every surface. The windows muted the world outside, like nothing real could touch what was in here. Simone Devereaux didn't speak at first. She just tapped her nails against the armrest, one click at a time, like a clock counting down to something Emma didn't understand yet. They drove south, out of the mountains, out of LJ, past winding roads and shuttered diners, into the wide gray veins of the interstate. Emma sat quietly, hands folded in her lap, her denim jacket stained with dust and dried cement. She didn't ask questions. She didn't look out the window much either. She just replayed her father's voice in her head. Never trust a promise that comes too quick. Simone finally turned. Sunglasses still on. You ever been to Atlanta before? Emma shook her head. No, ma'am. Simone smirked. That's going to change. They pulled through a guarded gate and into a neighborhood where lawns were trimmed like magazine pages and every mailbox gleamed under custom lighting. The car eased to a stop in front of a white-columned house with a wraparound porch and marble lions by the steps. Emma stared, blinking like the sunlight hurt. Come on, Simone said. You'll be staying here. Inside, everything was too soft, too bright, too cold. The couch swallowed her when she sat. The kitchen had a wine fridge. There was a staircase wider than the front porch of her family's house. Emma followed quietly as Simone led her to a guest room with velvet curtains and a bed that looked like it had never been touched. There's towels in the cabinet and clothes in the dresser. Help yourself. We'll talk tomorrow. Emma stood at the edge of the rug, still in her work boots, unsure if she was supposed to sit or leave or kneel. Simone watched her, then said, You're not in LJ anymore. This is a place for women who want more. That night, Emma showered with hot water for the first time in months. She ate salmon from the fridge, cold but fresh. She turned on the TV and found a channel that played jazz without commercials. She slept under sheets that smelled like lavender, with a real comforter tucked under her chin. Morning came fast. The city sounds were different. Car horns, sirens, the buzz of some neighbor's leaf blower. She woke early, put on one of the button-down shirts folded in the drawer, and waited. Simone didn't come down until nearly noon. She was dressed in silk, sipping orange juice like it was champagne. You ready to start? She asked. Emma nodded. Yes, ma'am. What's the job? Simone smiled slowly. Patience, baby girl. First, we get you used to comfort. Then, opportunity. Emma blinked, unsure what that meant. But she didn't ask. She'd learned long ago that questions only got you answers you couldn't afford. She just said, Yes, ma'am, and smiled, even though her gut was already tightening, like something big was coming, something she wouldn't be ready for. The fourth night came with thunder. Atlanta's skies lit up in purple flashes as rain slapped the windows hard enough to rattle glass. Emma stood at the edge of her borrowed bed, hands trembling as she ironed the only decent dress she owned. A pale blue cotton thing with a broken zipper she'd stitched by hand months ago. It wasn't much, but she still believed, maybe, Simone was sending her to a hotel job. Receptionist. Housekeeping. Night shift somewhere clean and quiet. At 8 p.m. sharp, Simone knocked twice, then let herself in. She wasn't smiling. She tossed a black shopping bag onto the bed. Wear that, she said flatly. Emma opened it. Her fingers hesitated on the thin red straps. The fabric was barely enough to cover a swimsuit, let alone a body. She looked up. I don't understand. You will, Simone said, stepping inside, the click of her heels louder than thunder. There's a man waiting downtown. He paid a lot. You wear that, sit in his car, smile. You don't ask questions. You just make him feel like a king. Emma froze. Wait, you said I was going to work. This is work, Simone snapped. You want to keep eating salmon and sleeping in lavender sheets, don't you? Or did you think all this was charity? Emma backed toward the door. I thought you were helping me. I said exactly what you wanted to hear. Simone cut her off. You're not a kid. You knew this wasn't a soup kitchen. I'm not doing that. Simone's eyes narrowed. She set her wine glass down hard on the nightstand. Then get out. Emma blinked. What? You heard me. Pack your trash bag, take your cement boots, and walk. You can go back to LJ, or better yet, sleep under a bridge with the rest of the saints. I don't have anywhere to go. Not my problem. My driver won't take you. You want out. You walk. Emma looked down at the dress again, then at Simone's face. There was no softness left. She reached under the bed, grabbed her nylon duffel, and slung it over her shoulder. Simone leaned back, arms crossed. You'll be back. They always come back. But Emma didn't answer. She walked past the velvet couches, past the chandelier, past the open front door, into a city she didn't know. No shoes, no plan, no one waiting, only rain and pavement and the echo of her own breath in the night. The rain didn't stop. It poured like Atlanta wanted to wash her away. Emma walked fast, head down, arms hugging her chest, the red dress soaking through and clinging to her like a second skin. Her boots slapped puddles with every step, but she didn't stop. Couldn't. She didn't even know where she was. Just that the sidewalks kept going, and so she did too. A car slowed beside her. A white Dodge Charger, windows tinted, music low. The driver leaned out. Young. Gold chain, slick voice. "Hey, sweetheart. That dress ain't for walking. Need a ride?" Emma didn't look at him, just kept walking. The car followed for a block. Then two. "Don't be rude, baby. I'm trying to help you out." She turned into a gas station and ducked behind the ice machine. The Charger sped off. A woman at the counter gave her a look. Not pity, not concern, just judgment. "You can't loiter here," she called through the glass. Emma nodded. "I'm just passing through." The woman didn't answer. By midnight, the city had shifted. Streetlights flickered. Sirens screamed, farther away now. Everything was quieter and meaner. Emma found a bench near the corner of Marietta Street, under a rusted bus stop awning. She curled her knees to her chest, pulled her jacket tight, and closed her eyes. But peace never came easy. Two men walked past, one drunk, the other laughing too loudly. "Hey, red dress," one shouted. "What's a girl like you doing all alone?" Emma turned away. "Maybe she likes it rough," the other said. They got closer. She stood fast, heart pounding. She backed off the bench, fists clenched. But a city bus groaned to a stop just then, doors hissing open. The men turned, distracted. And just like that, they were gone. Emma didn't get on the bus. She didn't even know where it went. Instead, she wandered. Her legs ached. Her stomach twisted with hunger. Her breath came in short, cold gasps. At 2 a.m., she crawled behind a dumpster behind a shuttered laundromat. She laid her jacket flat on the ground like a blanket, rested her head on her nylon duffel, and stared up at the stars she could barely see between power lines. She whispered, "I'm not going to break." But her voice shook when she said it. And somewhere, in the distance, a baby cried and no one answered. The sun rose without warmth. Emma sat on the curb in front of a pawn shop, rubbing the sleep-swollen corners of her eyes. Her jacket was damp, her throat dry, her stomach hollow. She hadn't eaten since a leftover salmon scrap 3 days ago. The red dress was now balled up in a rough cloth sack, shoved beneath everything, as if hiding it might erase what it represented. A group of girls crossed the street in front of her, each pushing a cracked plastic cart filled with buckets, soap, and squeegees. Some of them were younger than her. A few were barefoot. They slipped between the morning traffic like water, calling out to idling cars. "Window wash. $1. Sparkling clean." One girl slowed and looked Emma's way. Quick eyes, twisting braids swinging. Her name was Tierra. Emma didn't know that yet. "You sitting there all day, or you trying to eat?" Tierra asked. Emma stood. "I want to work." "Tierra es Nortez. You got $5 to rent the kit." Emma shook her head. "Then you ain't working?" "Sweetheart, this ain't charity." An older woman nearby, gray hair, leathered skin, called out from behind a table covered in boiled peanuts and sausage links. "Let her try. Give her a bucket." "Got it." Her first step into the sea of cars made her hands shake. Horns blared. A man in an SUV shouted something she didn't catch. The bucket sloshed in her grip, but she kept moving. Her voice cracked at first, then leveled out. "Window cleaning. $1. Quick and clean." People ignored her. A woman in a Lexus rolled up her window. A delivery guy shouted, "Smile more. You'll sell more." By noon, the sidewalk burned. Her sneakers sizzled. Sweat soaked through her borrowed shirt. Her lips were dry, her eyes foggy. She cleaned 10 cars. In crumpled bills, the other girls stared like they hadn't expected her to come back. Tierra raised an eyebrow. "Huh, you didn't steal it." Emma handed her the money. "I didn't steal. I just need a way to stand." Tierra tossed her a banana. "Then eat. Tomorrow, you get your own bucket." The heat was merciless. Atlanta baked beneath a steel blue sky, and the expressway shimmered like a mirror of fire. Emma's bucket dug deep into her scalp, her shoulders sore from hours of weaving between idling cars and cursing drivers. Her voice had gone hoarse. She hadn't eaten since the banana the day before, but the sachets were almost gone. For left, maybe $3 worth. Enough for a sandwich. Maybe. Then it hit her. A sharp, twisting pain low in her stomach. Too much heat. Too little food. Her body tightening. Her steps slowed. The sweat on her face turned cold. She looked around. No public restrooms. No gas station in sight. And even if there were, she didn't have coins to buy entry. That's how the city worked. Even relief had a price tag. She stepped away from the highway, slipping behind a row of overgrown bushes lining a fenced-off utility area. It wasn't safe, but the need was louder than caution. As she crouched behind the shrubs, trying to hold on to some shred of dignity, she heard it. A voice. Faint. Croaking. Broken. "Help somebody, please." Emma froze. She turned her head, slowly. The voice came again, strained and slipping. "Please don't let me die." Her heart thudded. She rose, cautiously pushing aside branches and crushed beer cans, stepping carefully through thorns and broken glass. And then she saw it. A man, face down behind a pile of torn cardboard and car tires. Blood soaked his white shirt, the collar stiff with dried crimson. His hands were tied behind his back, duct tape wrapped around his ankles. His face, bruised, swollen, gashed at the temple. His lips moved, but no words came. Emma dropped the bucket. She crouched. "Sir? Sir, can you hear me?" His eyes fluttered. "You're going to be okay. I'll get help. I swear." She tried pulling him upright. He groaned. "You're going to be okay," she repeated, though her hands shook. Her body ached, but she didn't stop. Inch by inch, she dragged him toward the shoulder of the road. Cars whizzed by. No one slowed. She stepped into traffic, waving her arms. "Help! Please, someone help!" A few honked. One man stuck his head out and shouted, "Get out of the way, crackhead!" She kept waving. Then a dusty blue cab screeched to a halt. The driver rolled down his window. "You bleeding?" "Not me, him. Please, take us to Grady Hospital." "You got money?" Emma fished in her back pocket, pulled out the $3 she had. "This is all I got." The man sighed. "Get in." She climbed into the back, cradling the stranger's head in her lap. His breathing was shallow. "Don't die," she whispered. "Don't die on me." The taxi lurched down I-20, its shocks groaning with every pothole. Emma pressed her hand to the man's chest, feeling it rise and fall. Shallow, slow, uneven. His blood had soaked through her shirt, warm and sticky. Her eyes flicked between him and the road. Every second felt too long. Every red light was a threat. Almost there, the driver muttered, more to himself than to her. They pulled up outside Grady Memorial's emergency entrance. Emma flung the door open before the car stopped. She shouted, "Help! Somebody help, please!" A security guard jogged over. "What happened?" "He's been beaten, tied up. I found him in the woods. Please, he needs help." Two nurses ran out with a gurney. They lifted the man gently as Emma stumbled after them. Inside the ER, fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Machines beeped. People moaned from behind curtains. At the front desk, a nurse asked, "Is he your relative?" "No, I don't know him, but he's dying." "Do you have insurance information?" "A deposit." Emma's voice cracked. "I don't, but he needs help." "No payment, no care," the nurse said flatly, turning back to her clipboard. Emma stepped forward. "I gave my last $3 to that cabbie. He's bleeding out. You can't just watch him die." The nurse opened her mouth to argue, but another voice cut in. "What's his blood type?" a doctor asked. Approaching quickly. "O positive," the nurse replied. "We're out." "I'm O positive," Emma said, without hesitation. The doctor looked her over. "Are you healthy?" "I don't know. I haven't eaten in 2 days. But take it. Please. Just take it." Minutes later, a nurse slid a needle into her arm. Blood began to fill the bag slowly. Emma watched it leave her body, dark, thick, precious. Her head went light. Her stomach turned. But she gripped the chair and kept her eyes on the ER door. "God," she whispered, "if this is what I'm here for, then let it be enough." When the transfusion was done, she stood too fast and collapsed. Her body hit the linoleum with a soft thud. Nurses rushed to her side. She's fainted. Get her glucose. One nurse lifted her eyelids. She's severely dehydrated. Hasn't eaten, and she still gave blood. In the next room, the monitors beeped steadily. The man stirred. His eyes opened slowly, blinking into the fluorescent glare. He whispered, "Water." The nurse leaned in. "You're safe now, sir. A girl saved your life." He looked confused. "What girl?" "She's in the next room. She passed out after giving you blood." The man's voice sharpened. "Take me to her." "Sir, you just regained." "I said take me to her," he growled, with the quiet strength of someone who wasn't used to being denied. The hallway outside the ER was quiet, too quiet. The only sound was the soft hum of fluorescent lights and the faint rolling of a wheelchair down the corridor. Jeremiah Grant leaned heavily on the nurse's arm as he stepped out of the room. For still taped to the back of his hand, hospital gown loose around his shoulders, dried blood still crusted in the corner of his mouth. He moved slowly, 1 foot at a time. Every step a reminder of the days he spent tied up, beaten, left for dead. But he didn't stop. The nurse hesitated in front of room 12. "She's resting, sir. Maybe you should." Jeremiah didn't wait. He pushed the door open himself. Inside, Emma lay still on the hospital bed, pale, lips cracked. Her old duffel bag sat on the floor, propped against the wall. The same nylon sack she'd carried through the city. Her hand twitched slightly. Jeremiah stepped closer. "You saved me," he said softly, voice hoarse. Emma's eyes fluttered open. For a second, she looked confused. Then she saw his face, the same man she dragged through the bushes. "You're awake," she whispered. "I am. Because of you." She tried to sit up, but he raised a hand. "Don't. You need rest. I thought you were going to die. I almost did." He paused. "Until you gave me your last dollar, your strength, even your blood." Emma looked away, embarrassed. I couldn't leave you like that." "Why?" he asked. Her voice trembled. "Because if my father was out there, broken and bleeding, I'd pray someone would stop. Someone would care." Jeremiah stared at her, silent. She looked back at him. "I know what it feels like to be invisible." He swallowed hard. That hit deeper than any blow his captors had landed. Footsteps echoed down the hall. A man in a black suit burst into the room. His eyes widened. "Mr. Grant, thank God. We've been searching for you. The board, the press, your family. Everyone's going crazy." Jeremiah didn't turn around. He kept his eyes on Emma. Later, Isaac, the assistant, froze, nodded. "Step back." Jeremiah reached out a hand. "What's your name?" "Emma. Emma Carter. From Elijah." He nodded slowly. "Emma, I'm Jeremiah Grant, CEO of Grant Tech." She blinked. Her mind reeled. "I owe you my life. And from this moment on, your life will never be the same." The next morning, the sky above Atlanta was soft with haze, the kind that made the city feel quieter than it really was. Emma sat on the edge of her hospital bed, dressed in a clean floral gown that the nurse had laid out for her. Her hair was tied into a loose bun. Her shoes, new, white, simple, still had the tags on them. She hadn't asked where they came from. She didn't need to. Outside the room, Jeremiah stood beside a nurse's station, now dressed in a crisp gray suit. No tie, just open collar, rolled up sleeves, and the calm command of a man used to owning rooms. He looked like someone from the news, someone from Forbes, not the bloodied, dying man she had found in the woods. When he stepped back inside, he was holding a manila folder and a bottle of water. "Your father," he said. "What's his condition?" Emma blinked, unsure how to answer. "Stage 4. Lung cancer. He's at home now. My mom's taking care of him, but we haven't been able to afford much." He stopped eating. Jeremiah nodded. "Then we don't have time." He handed her the folder. Inside were flight details, names, passports, medical documents. Emma's hands trembled as she flipped through the pages. "What is this? Your father, and your mother are flying to Rochester, Minnesota. Mayo Clinic. Tomorrow morning. They've cleared space in their program. Best oncologists in the country. I've already covered everything." She covered her mouth, eyes wide, words caught in her throat. "I have a jet," he added, like it wasn't a big deal. "And you deserve to use it." Emma tried to speak, but her voice broke. Why are you doing this? Jeremiah sat down beside her. Because you didn't hesitate when you saw me bleeding in the dirt. You didn't know who I was. You had nothing, and you still gave me everything. A soft knock came at the door. Isaac entered quietly, carrying a black leather case. Jeremiah nodded. Now's fine. Isaac set the case gently on the bedside table, flipped the latches, and opened it. Bundles of bills, neatly packed, crisp, silent. Emma stared. What is this? $250,000, Jeremiah said. Your future. Your choice. You can use it for your family, your education, or start something of your own. She backed away. I can't accept that. You can, he said, and you will. Because what you did, Emma, it wasn't normal. It was noble. She didn't say anything, just nodded slow as tears streamed down her cheeks. He stood, placing a hand on her shoulder. This isn't charity. It's repayment. 1 year later, the sun rose over Atlanta with quiet confidence. Not blinding, not dramatic, just steady, like the kind of morning that follows a long night and stays. A modest 2-story building stood on the corner of Auburn Avenue and Jackson Street. Once an abandoned office space, now repainted in soft blues and golds. A wooden sign above the door read, "The Carter Center for Young Women." Inside, girls sat in a circle, some pregnant, some bruised, some just tired of surviving. But all of them listened. At the front stood Emma. No muck-up, no stage, just her voice. "I was you," she said softly. "Hungry, humiliated, walking through traffic like I didn't exist, sleeping on concrete, saying no to things that would have fed me for a week." She paused. "And now we're building a place where you can start again, where your name means more than your history." Jeremiah stood at the back of the room, arms folded, watching her. He didn't say a word. Outside, a line of new girls waited at the door. Share it. Someone out there needs to hear it. And maybe you're the one who'll stop next time. Subscribe for more real stories and stay kind. It changes everything.